Hi guys, today we are here to present the YouTube tryout video for CMPE 285. Uh, we are a group of four. My name is Anish Kulkarni,
My
Priyansh.
name is Priyansh Patel.
And my name is Aniket Thumar.
And my name is Sai Varshith Talluri.
Today I'm going to talk about my favorite sitcom. It is called How I Met Your Mother. Next. So the show was aired from 2005 to 2015 on US television. It's a sitcom aired in English language. It had 9 seasons and total of 208 episodes. So next, so the premise of the show was Ted has fallen in love. It all started with his best friend Marshall drops the bombshell that his plans to propose to longtime girlfriend Lily, a kindergarten teacher. Suddenly, Ted realizes that he better get a move on if he hopes to find true love. Helping him in the quest is Barney, a friend with endless, often outrageous opinions, a penchant for suits, and a foolproof way to meet women. When Ted meets Robin, he is sure it's love at first sight, but affair fizzles into friendship. The show is voiceover by Bob Saget, and he tells the whole story through a flashback. So, Ted is telling the story to his kids about how he met their mother. The main character, Ted Mosby, is played by Josh Gardner. In the show's early days, Ted Mosby embodied the quintessential nice guy who was a hopeless romantic and constantly wondered why he was still single. I know these type of people and they are worse to be friends with on Facebook or to follow on Twitter because they will remind you of how nice they are and how single they are every day. Slowly but surely, they added enough self-effacing aspects to Ted. Plenty of jokes were made at the expense of his pretentious and some light bulbs at the expense of why he can't girls love me mentally, especially towards the later end of their run. What humanized him the most was how each of his relationships unfolded. He was mean downright mean to a lot of women he dated. Ted cheated on first serious girlfriend he had on the show. But for whatever reason, the writers focused more on how crazy Ted was for Robin, and they more or less sold it as a blip on the radar. Ted wasn't exactly best to Zoe either. He basically broke their marriage up and betrayed the one thing she was passionate about so that he can help a corrupt bank build their shitty skyscraper. The protagonist on a fluffy as hell sitcom about friends trying to make it in New York isn't going to be harshly scrutinized for any asshole behavior. Fans are ultimately supposed to root for him without thinking too hard about it. The writers paid enough lip service to humbling Ted for it somewhat work, but overall he remains insufferable. Lily Aldrin, played by Alison Hannigan, because there was only a 5 episode stretch where it seemed like Lily and Marshall might not be together forever. They acted as the sole constant surrounded by friends who went from hookup to hookup at breakneck speeds. Thank goodness for them. There were too many disposable love interests for the sake of an episode premise that it default turned every character into a wild fucking horn dog. Most of these ensemble sitcoms don't have a strong couple in the group right out the gate. So it was a good move, especially considering how time was spent on Ted and his nauseating search for an eternal soulmate or whatever. Each one had their work related low points, but Lily was the only character who ever got to very relatable point. So which she was a teacher at first, it was fine, but it really wanted to be an artist. So she moved to San Francisco to go for it. But she sucks at it. That's basically 99% of open mic community in any given metropolitan area. For a moment, Lily was even unsure about whether or not she should be with Marshall, which was understandable, considering they had only dated one other person since freshman year. In spite of her fluctuating career success, was she was one still the one everyone turned to for the most reliable advice. Barney, the most emotional repressed character on the show, would previous slide, please. Rehan. Ted even seemed to confide in her, uh, more than Marshall at times. This sort of powers on everyone around her made her little mad with power at times, going as far as paving the path for a myriad of Ted's breakups. Marshall Erickson, played by Jason Segel, while Lily had no idea what she wanted to do with her life throughout the show's run, Marshall always did. He just wasn't able to do it the entire time. Watching him grapple with the idea of selling out and working for the Goliath National Bank made for his most intriguing storyline. Making the choice to work for GNB actually weighed on him. Ted didn't even blink at the idea of creating GNB's building, and Barney was the most at home at there because he is a living skunk. It showed that he at least had a semblance of conscience. So, next set, the Robin Shabatsky, played by Kobe Smulders. To get to the final moment, whether they had Robin stay with Barney or not, is beside the point. They did such a good job proving just how incompatible Robin and Ted were throughout the show's run, then having them end up together felt like a real betrayal. Thanks to that betrayal, the show's entire premise turned out to be a ploy by old Ted, fixating on telling his kids how much he loved their Aunt Robin. They were a terrible match. Would all their initial complications really be made easier by throwing two kids, five dogs, and Ted's dead wife ghost into a mix? I don't know. It took a long time for Robin's character to become something more than just the object of Ted's affection. Barney Stinson, played by Neil Patrick Harris. What a monster shitty character this was. Just an endless, well made jokes, lazy puns, and supposedly ironic catchphrases that would end up being genuine attempts at forging a catchphrase somewhere along the line. People loved this character though. Neil Patrick Harris was nominated for multiple Emmys, losing out each time to Jeremy Piven for his work on Entourage. Not only the market for douchebag comedy was in the demand during this time, they released an actual bro code book inspired by a super stale running bit on the show. We need to set mid 2000s on fire and never look back. What's unfortunate is that Harris has a real knack for classical comedic acting. His faces were always expressive. He could pull off great pratfall. His close-up magic is kind of good. Despite being off air just for few years, it's striking to see how poorly How I Met Your Mother has aged in such a long time. It is rough to rewatch, to say the least. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Priyansh, and Mr. Robot is one of my favorite series. It's a drama thriller created by Sam Esmail, and it was released on USA Network. And it had four seasons and 45 episodes, and it aired between June 24, 2015 to December 22, 2019. So, Mr. Robot stars Rami Malek and Elliot Elderson. So, Mr. Robot is an American drama thriller television created by Sam Esmail for USA Network, and Rami Malek is acting as Elliot Elderson, a security engineer and hacker with social anxiety disorder and clinical depression. Elliot is recruited by an insurrectionary anarchist known as Mr. Robot, played by Christian Slater, to join a group of activists called F Society. The group aims to destroy all debts record by encrypting financial data of eCorp. eCorp is the largest company in the world, as shown in Mr. Robot. So, Mr. Robot has received critical acclaim, particularly for the performances of Rami Malek and Slater, its story and visual representation, and McQuell's musical score. Ismail has received praise for his direction of the series, having directed three episodes in the first season before serving as the sole director of the remaining of the show. The show received numerous accolades, including two Golden Globe Awards, three Primetime Emmy Awards, and a Peabody Award. So these are the main characters of the show, and Elliot Edlerson is the main protagonist of the series and is a senior cybersecurity engineer at Allsafe Cybersecurity and a vigilante hacker. He has a dissociative identity disorder and deals with other mental illness such as clinical depression and severe anxiety. which are partly responsible for his antisocial behavior and drug use. Darlie Alderson is Elliot's younger sister. She is also a malware coder and one of the F Society hackers, and she's the one supporting Elliot through his deeds. Um, Angela Moss is Elliot's childhood friend and a fellow employee at Allsafe, a later PR manager for eCorp. And yeah, and the Tyler Velick is a major antagonist in the series and is a corrupt senior vice president of technology at eCorp and later part of F Society. Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Aniket, and one of my favorite series is The Office. So, The Office is an American documentary sitcom television series that depicts the everyday work lives of office employees in Scranton. So, The Office is of the genre sitcom, and it was developed by Greg Daniels. It was released on National Broadcasting Company, which had 9 seasons and 201 episodes. The Office was aired from March 24, 2005 to May 16, 2013. Like its British counterpart, the series was filmed in a single camera setup without a studio audience or a laugh track to simulate the look of an actual documentary. The series debuted on NBC as a mid-season replacement. So the premise of the this season is The Office is an American television series, which I already told that depicts the everyday work life of office employees in Scranton, Pennsylvania branch of the fictional Dunder Mifflin Paper Company. The series starts by introducing Dunder Muffin's employees via a tour given by manager Michael Scott to both documentary camera crew. Salesman Halpert has a crush on receptionist Pam Beasley, who helps to play pranks over Red Scrod. She is endeared to Roy, who works in the company's warehouse. Rumors spread throughout the office that the headquarters is planning to downsize the entire branch, leading to local anxiety. Mike chooses to deny or downplay the realities of the situation to maintain employees' morale. So now I will go through the main characters of this office. Next, next slide. So the office employees and ensemble cast. Many characters portrayed by the office cast are based on the original British series. While these characters generally have the same attitude and perceptions as their British counterparts, the roles have been redesigned to fit the American show better. The show is known for its relatively large cast size, and many of its actors and actresses are known particularly for their own improvisational work. So, the first character, Michael Scott, is a regional manager of the Dunder Mifflin Scranton branch. Scott is a well-intentioned man who attempts at humor while seemingly innocent to himself, often offend and annoy his peers and employees, and in some situations lead to reprimanding from his superiors. The second character, Dwight Schrute, is a salesman and the assistant to the regional manager, a fictional title created by Michael. Third character, Jim Halpert. Jim Halpert is a salesman and in later seasons, assistant manager or com manager who is known for his wittiness and his practical jokes on Dwight. Halpert is based on Tim Canterbury and at the start of the season to have feelings for Pam, the receptionist who is engaged to a fellow employee. Pam Beasley is a receptionist at Dunder Mifflin and is shy, but in many cases a collaborator with Jim in his pranks on Dwight. So the Office season was met with mixed reviews during its first season, but the following seasons, particularly The Office was met with mixed reviews during its first short season, uh, but the following seasons, particularly those featuring Carol, received significant acclaim from television critics as the show's characters, content, structure, and tone diverged considerably from the British version. Thank you.
Hi, I would like to talk about the series Breaking Bad. This is a neo-Western crime drama that has been created and produced by Vince Gilligan. The show aired between 2008 to 2013 and consists of over 5 seasons and a total of 62 episodes. The series comes under the crime drama genre and set in a particularly dark background. It was set and filmed in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and tells the story of Walter White, an underpaid, overqualified, and disputed high school chemistry teacher who is struggling with a recent diagnosis of stage 3 lung cancer. Walter turns a life of crime, partnering with his former student Jesse Pinkman by producing and distributing crystal meth, a drug, to secure his family's financial future before he dies, while navigating the dangers of criminal underworld. According to the producer, the title is a Southern colloquialism meaning to raise hell. So, as we know, initially making only small batches of meth with his former student Jesse Pinkman in a rolling meth lab, Walter and Jesse, the two main characters of the series, eventually expand to make larger batches of a special blue meth that is incredibly pure and creates high demand. Walter takes on the name Heisenberg to mask his identity because of his drug related activities. Walter eventually finds himself at odds with his family, the Drug Enforcement Administration (DEA), through his brother-in-law Hank Schrader, who is also a member of the DEA, the local gangs, and the Mexican drug cartels. So, as we can see, he has made a lot of enemies, and he has put his and his family's life at risk. So, coming to the critical acclaim of the Breaking Bad series. The first season generally received positive reviews, while the rest of the run received unanimous critical acclaim. It has won multiple awards like never seen in television history before, including Golden Globes, Primetime Emmy, a record 16 Primetime Emmy Awards, and also has entered the Guinness World Records as the most critically acclaimed TV show of all time. Can you go to the next slide? So as you can see, the cast of Breaking Bad is on the left top screen. That comprises the entire cast who appear most of the time. And on the bottom right, you can see the two main characters, Jesse and Walter White. On the left bottom, you can see Gustavo Fring, played by Giancarlo Esposito. He's Although there are many villains in the series that come and go from time to time, he's one of the most notorious uh, antagonists in the series uh, because of his particularly uh, what do you say curious nature and the mentality of his running business. He's a person who terrorizes his workers and also has a hold over Jesse and Walter. Although he eventually uh, uh, gets killed by Walter himself in the almost at the end of the series. As you can see in the top right uh, the screen, you can see Saul. He's a lawyer in the series. It is played by Bob Odenkirk. Can you go to the next slide? So the customer reviews were very positive regarding the particular character Saul, as we have seen in the previous slide, and it has prompted the producers to make a sequel called Better Call Saul that featured Odenkirk, Banks, and Esposito that reprises the Breaking Bad roles as well as many others in guest and recurring appearances. Uh, Better Call Saul is the eighth episode of the second season of Breaking Bad, but it was promoted to a series regular in season 3, stayed with the series until the end, and then reprised the role in the prequel series Better Call Saul, which is currently running and is in the sixth and final season. Thank you.